Hi there. All right, so it's Saturday, October 7th at 4:55 p.m. and I wanted to make a very opinionated video that could maybe be controversial. I don't know. About whether or not I think that being transgender should be in the dsm-v as a mental illness. Because the DSM, I think it's in the 5th edition. Yeah. As some people may know, is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, which is the book that psychiatrists and psychologists and counselors and all those good people in the mental health field use to diagnose mental illnesses and different conditions. And being transgender is actually called gender identity disorder, and it is considered a mental illness. And I'm not sure that I agree with that label, because I think that's kind of dramatic, and I'm just not sure that I really agree that me being me is a mental illness. I mean, I have legit mental illness. Like, I have chemical imbalances in my brain of other types. And I don't think that being trans is one of those mental illnesses. So I just wanted to talk about a couple of the criteria. I wanted to zone in on a couple of them that I think is important and just kind of discuss my thoughts on why I think they do or do not qualify under the label of why they should be considered, whether or not they go into this being considered a mental illness qualification or not. So here's some of the criteria. Number one, a strong conviction that one has the typical feelings and reactions of the other gender. 2, in boys, preference for cross-dressing or simulating female attire, and in girls, insistence on wearing only stereotypical masculine clothing. 3, disturbance is marked by preoccupation of primary or secondary sex characteristics. Examples, by taking hormones, surgery or other procedures to alter sexual characteristics of the other gender, or belief that they may be born in the wrong gender. 4, disturbance causes clinically significant impairment or distress in social, occupational, or other important areas of life. 5, strong desire to be treated as the other gender. I think I said that already. Yeah. 6, a marked incongruence between one's experienced gender and assigned gender of at least 6 months duration. All right. So let's. So, a strong conviction that one has the typical feelings and reactions of the other gender. I can see, I guess, on the outside, how that sounds a little nuts. And it's like, that sounds a little crazy, to be honest. Like, I'm a girl, and, like, I think like a man. Like, that sounds a little crazy. Like, I get it. But as someone that identifies as transgender, like, it doesn't feel crazy at all. It feels normal. It feels completely normal. There's nothing about me that feels in the least bit crazy. And like I said, I have mental illnesses, like chemical imbalances in my brain, and I can freely admit that those things affect my life. And I'll actually get to one of the things I just read about why I actually think that maybe this could be considered a mental illness because of one of the criterias that I've read. But I don't think that this qualifies as one of the criteria for being considered a mental illness. I think that we all have male and female parts in our personalities that we can identify that there are more feminine and masculine parts in our personality, and that maybe some of us are more lean more towards one side than the other, and some of us just freely identify as the other gender completely. I don't think that makes me mentally ill because I identify as a male and I was designated female at birth. I don't think that makes me sick. I don't think that, you know what I mean? I don't agree with that. I really don't agree with this either, this next one. In boys, a preference for cross-dressing or simulating female attire, and in girls, insistence on wearing only stereotypical masculine clothing. Come on. Really? The way that you dress is is subject to saying whether or not you're mentally ill? Really? Please. Come on. So you're telling me that based on the clothes that someone decides to wear, and because for this criteria, you only need to meet 2 of them. So there's 6 criteria, and I think I only read like 5 of them. And I don't even think I read like the correct 5. I think I might have repeated one. You only have to meet like 2 of these. So you're telling me that because, you're a designated female at birth and you have an insistence on wearing stereotypical male clothing that you could be considered mentally ill. Hooray! So what about like androgynous women, or what about women that are like, what about butch women that wear men's clothing? Are they considered mentally ill because they wear men's clothing even though they identify as female? What about them? Like, where's the line that says like you wear certain clothing, but then where's the line that says you're mentally ill? I don't understand like who wrote the book that says like what's allowed and what's not allowed. It just doesn't make sense. Like, since when does the way that you choose to adorn your body and the way that you express yourself qualify you as like having a legit mental illness that like you need therapy for, that you need help for, that you're considered other than society? That doesn't make, literally makes no sense at all. And for even like trans women, like, so what if you're a guy and you like to wear leggings or makeup or dresses? Like, who gives a fuck? Good for you. I don't think that makes you mentally ill. I think you like to wear dresses and leggings and makeup. You're a human being. And that's the end of it, you know? Like, why is there such a binary, and why are there such rigid rules that says what's okay and what's not okay for people to do? I don't think that makes you mentally ill. I think that makes whoever wrote the book stupid and dumb. So, then the next thing is disturbance is marked by preoccupation of primary or secondary sex characteristics by taking hormone, surgery, or other procedures to alter sexual characteristics of other gender, or the belief that they were born in the wrong gender. All right. This is where it gets a little confusing for me, because I don't know that I think of this as necessarily criteria to be mentally ill. But because I don't think of myself as mentally ill. There needs to be a less word than that. But that's, a a strong, the things that we do with our bodies as trans people are extreme. The fact that I'm taking testosterone and that I've been on it for 3 months is, it's a statement. It's a commitment. It's, it's definitely something. There's something to be said about what I'm doing to my body. Does it mean that I'm mentally ill? No, I don't think so. But it's also a little outside of the norm that I'm altering my body in such a way that it is outside of the norm. But I don't think that qualifies as being mentally ill. I think when I think of the words mentally ill, I think of what the next point is. So I'll just jump into that and then maybe I can clarify. The next point is disturbance causes clinically significant impairment or distress in social, occupational, or other important areas of life. This is the only qualification that I think being transgender qualifies you as being mentally ill. Like, stamp, yes, mentally ill, you're transgender, you're mentally ill because of that criteria. Being trans in my life affects me so much that I do see it as a mental illness because it impairs me so much on a daily basis that it's like literally hard to function. The way that my dysphoria affects me, the constant battle that it is on a daily basis to just like look in the mirror, to deal with my body, to battle against the societal norms that are placed against me, it's exhausting. And it's just, it doesn't end. It literally doesn't end. And to just constantly be like fighting against yourself and society as a whole, it really does impact your relationships with people. It impacts your relationship with yourself. You don't have a good relationship with your body. You have good days and then you have really terrible days. And, I draw parallels between that and the other mental illnesses that I have, like such as my bipolar disorder. I mean, with my bipolar, some days it's impossible for me to get out of bed, because I'm so depressed. And I can't be around people because I'm so irritable. And then other days I'll be really manic and I'll be up and you know what I mean? And that causes such impairment in my ability to function as a productive member of society. And me being transgender is on the same level. Me being able to hold relationships with people because it seems that my focus is only on me being able to like love myself and have a positive relationship with myself and being able to interact with people in a healthy way because of my gender identity, that affects my life. Feeling that people don't understand me and that I can't have relationships with people because they don't understand what it's like to be trans, that affects my life. When people that are cisgender are trying to tell me things about myself and are trying to tell me to not worry about me being misgendered, that causes a wedge between me and other people because they simply don't understand what I'm going through. Like, that causes impairment and distress in my life to a degree that it is hard to connect with people, all because I'm transgender. That, I think, is the definition of a mental illness. When you can't look at yourself in the mirror, and then that adds to I want to get rid of my chest because I want to be able to pass. I want to be able to be treated as the man that I am. I want to be treated with the respect that I deserve. So while it may seem drastic on the outside to take hormones, to have the surgeries, I think the two go hand in hand because of that impairment and distress that is placed on your life for hating your body, for feeling that you're betrayed. It makes sense that we have surgeries and that we take hormones because we're trying to align that distress that we have to the person that we are inside, because we feel that we are the other gender. So I don't know that the criteria of us being preoccupied with having the secondary sexual characteristics of the other gender necessarily counts as us being considered mentally ill per se. But I think that that is pretty extreme, that there are some of us that have surgeries, like top and bottom surgeries, but it's necessary. Like, it's so necessary for our survival for us to have these surgeries, because it's like we need to align our bodies with our minds. It's not, I don't think these surgeries are really optional for us. I think they are 100% necessary. And don't get me started on how they're not covered by insurance and that we have to pay out of pocket for these surgeries. That's a whole nother video and a whole nother thing. But, I'm not sure that those last 2 points that I read shouldn't necessarily fall under the category of not being considered mental illness, because they are extreme. They do affect our lives. But I certainly think that the way in which this impacts my daily life is considered to the degree of being a mental illness, for sure. That I don't dispute at all. And because I put that on the same level of the way that my bipolar or other mental illnesses that I have affect my life on a daily basis. But unlike those mental illnesses, I can't take a pill to deal with this. I just have to deal with it the best that I can. I have to deal with the fact that I get misgendered on a daily basis. I have to learn to cope with the dysphoria that I have with my body. You know what I mean? I have been able to change my name. I've been able to address my pronouns with the people that I meet. There are ways that I can deal with it, but it doesn't make my journey any easier. So there are things that I can do. I can go to therapy, but it just causes such an impairment in your life that it is hard to function as a normal human being. So while I don't agree with half of the list that requires you to be considered mentally ill under the diagnostic criteria to be considered to have gender identity disorder, because I think the whole just term gender identity disorder is just complete horseshit. I think it's stupid. I don't think it should be considered a mental illness at all. I think it's dumb. I think we are who we are as human beings, because there isn't medicine to solve it except for hormone replacement therapy. And since none of it is really covered by insurance, what good is that label doing us? I think hormones should be free and surgery should be free for everyone, so I don't know what good this mental illness label is serving any of us. I think it should just be eradicated, and that we should be treated as human beings that are just going through a struggle, an immense struggle, but a struggle nonetheless.